There is a common misconception on my channel that I hate all bad art, but this is simply not the case. Sure, there are some pieces that bring me uncontrollable rage, but there are also pieces of bad art that are downright hilarious. This is sort of a so bad it's good kind of situation, and there are some artists who know this, who realize that if they intentionally make art that is bad or shocking, they will also get laughs. And so today I thought I would review some of those pieces, because in all honesty, making a piece of bad art that is funny isn't the easiest thing in the world. There is such a thing as intentionally bad art. For example, this piece isn't very funny because there's no shocking subject matter or funny way of being drawn. It's just a scribbled mess and a waste of time. But then we have pieces like this, which actually have detail and shocking subject matter, and are actually, satire. And because I have an appreciation for creativity and humor, I decided that I would give some attention to these pieces and give my thoughts on them. So first we have Sans twerking. I'm sorry, but this is beautiful. Seriously, there's something about the way they positioned his crudely drawn body and the little hearts floating everywhere that make the whole painting hilariously ridiculous. Another thing I enjoy is when artists take what could have been an ugly piece of joke art and then add so much detail that it is actually close to being surreal. Now this piece, while it is incredibly ugly, also has lots of strange elements to it that I wanted to point out. You see, in most pieces of bad art, people take things that are realistic and make it cartoonish but execute it horribly. But with this style, they took something cartoonish and made it realistic, but executed it horribly. Which is an interesting twist on most bad joke art. Notice the enlarged calves, the more realistic nose, and the much smaller eyes. All of this, with the combination of some bad line work, makes a truly horrible but hilarious painting. Then there is art that takes a more simplistic approach when it comes to joke art. This piece just took a filter and placed it directly over Jimmy Neutron's mouth to give it an exaggerated and ridiculous expression. The result is, of course, hilarity. This one, however, is just terrifying. And here's a piece that I think a lot of aspiring joke artists start off with. And really, if you are fairly new to joke art and see this, you might think it's funny the first time. But I have seen so many of these pieces that it's actually boring now. Really, joke art or sincere art using the circle tool is just lazy and stale. So here's another purposely badly drawn piece, but I think what makes this one funnier than most is not how it's drawn, but the details and text that accompany it. This text really just summarizes what every person thinks about when they look at vor art, and it's brilliant. Wow, I sure do love being digested. I love how stomach acid burns my flesh. Burp LaMayo. A couple of things I would like to point out, however. I can't tell what the creature in the stomach is supposed to even be. My best guess is that it's either a black cat or Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Also, the penis cutie mark is a really nice touch. Now, this next collection of art pieces can only be described in 2 words: horrifying and hilarious. This is where I think we get to the raw inner madness of humanity. With each of these pieces, we dive deeper and deeper into some of the most terrible, offensive garbage you will ever imagine. And it's beautiful. It can be clearly seen that each of these pieces has obviously had some thought put into them, with the excessive detail on the wrinkles, the painful facial expressions, and the surprisingly calm color palette. They truly do have a strange, dark style to them that is rare in the joke art community. Now, this is a piece that has circled around the internet a lot, but I figured that you guys would like to see it in all its glory. You see, the first thing that strikes me when I see this painting is the amount of dedication that was put into it. There is detail and shading on almost every centimeter of their bodies. This is one of the most ornate pieces of joke art I have seen on this website, and all I have to say is, I applaud you. Now, this is another account full of joke art, which is fairly unique since almost all of their pieces center heavily around their own strange style. This certain way of drawing that this person always uses in their pieces of joke art is truly perplexing. I don't know how they managed to make the texture so dirty and ugly in such a unique way, but my best guess is a combination of filters and odd, unrealistic shading. Whatever the case, these elements all merge to form a terrible and terrifying piece of artwork that can be appreciated by anyone who has a humor as screwed up as mine. This art is truly something out of a nightmare. It's eerie, it's shocking, and it's also oddly laughable. Well, for me anyways, because when it comes to artwork like this, there are only two kinds of people in this world. Those who laugh, and those who stare in horror. Of course, there is also a more subtle and less disturbing realm when it comes to joke art, which consists of edited pictures. This is also one of my favorite types of joke art on Deviantart. Now, obviously, there is a spectrum of these edits as well. Some are more rough and amateur, which in a lot of cases actually adds to the humor and absurdity of the piece. And then there are much more smooth edits that are also kind of impressive, surprisingly, even if it is filled to the brim with memes. Either way, these edits are truly hilarious, and it's always great just to relax and browse through all these ridiculous pictures. Now, here's an account that puts significantly less effort or creativity into their work. Even their front page says, "D's nuts." You know, that old unfunny meme that no one ever liked. This is one of their pictures, and obviously it's supposed to be bad. Haha. Because if the quality is bad, that means it's funny. Get it, guys? See, the quality is bad, so that means it's funny, right? Ha. Ha. You see, this is playing off the delusion that I mentioned earlier. You see, a lot of people think that if you make something that is purposely low quality without any creativity, effort, or, you know, an actual joke, then it's fine, because people will laugh anyway, right? But no, that is not the case at all. This is just a scribbled piece of trash. That's kind of what I want the message for this video to be. Just because something is joke art doesn't mean it doesn't require any thought. If you are going to make a piece of joke art, then you have to do the same thing that you do when making regular art. Put in effort. Anyway, my name is Solar Sands, this has been Browsing DeviantArt, and goodbye.